afraid of no war.
What the fuck you been smoking?
Y'all might think I'm crazy, but I just want to do something that's different.
Yeah, well, getting your fucking head blown off here is different.
Welcome back, YouTube, to Jermon's Zone. I'm your host, Jermon, and today we're taking a look at the 1995 crime drama / coming of age / war film, Dead Presidents. For starters, I have to say, I always enjoyed this film anytime it came on TV as I was growing up. But I'll also have to mention that this movie can be like a horror film in some ways. There's some scenes that scared me, especially when it came to war. It really captured the feeling of what soldiers were going through at the time mentally, also socially, what was happening during the 1960s going into the 1970s. And it just always had an impact on me. You know, from the beginning to end. And it never changed. And I think also it's the fact that it's based on a real story. Like Haywood Kirkland, it's based on his experience as a war veteran, being in war and coming back. And I think that's why it holds some weight. It's the fact that someone actually went through some of these events, and some of the details is really explained through the book called Bloods. And it's kind of crazy because later, like recently, before Chadwick Boseman died, he did a movie called Bloods, and has that same type of feel. And I wonder if they were inspired by the Hughes brothers who directed this film. If they was inspired by this movie to kind of bring that out. So let's get to the first part of the breakdown, because we're gonna have multiple videos talking about each part. In the first part, I want to cover the actual coming to age story. Now, at the beginning, we get to see Anthony working as a milk delivery guy who goes around as he's a teenager, just little jobs, just going around, just making some money for himself and keep himself busy. Now, he's also joined by his close friends Skip and Jose. Skip is played by Chris Tucker, who played a funny character in the story. And, they sitting around, they talking as they doing this job about, where do they want to go in life? Especially at this point in life, because with everybody, once you hit when you get close to the end of high school, you try to figure out what's happening. Jose, he doesn't know for sure where he wants to go. Like Skip, he wants to go to college, wants to get an education, and improve on his life in that aspect. While Anthony, our protagonist, played by Larenz Tate, he wants to travel. That's what he says. But hinting that he wants to travel and wouldn't mind going to war. Because since this is the 1960s going into the 1970s, this is the time of the Vietnam War. He's not afraid of war. He can be confident going into it. And this is where we have the split ideas, because Jose and Skip doesn't believe in going to war for anything. It doesn't have nothing to do with them, so they stay out of it. However, Skip even predicts that Jose will be picked because he sees Jose as not being smart enough to go to college. So that's where his career is going to be. He's going to go to war. And as they go through, we get to see these different dynamics, because all these dynamics that's happening now will be play out later and stuff. Especially to the next scene where eventually their milk delivery trips, and they start going to the part where he meets up with his girlfriend. This is Anthony meeting up with his girlfriend, but before he meets her, he meets the sister, the sister Delilah, and then his girlfriend Juanita, right? they represent two different things in the movie for Anthony, right? So as for Delilah, when he first meets her, you can tell she has a schoolgirl crush on him. You know, she's quiet, even though she's all about her books and education. You know, she has feelings for Anthony, you know. But at the same time, like, Anthony is being, like, also peer pressure to go after Juanita and try to find a way to get sex out of her and stuff like that. So that's why he doesn't pay her too much attention, you know. So eventually he talks to Juanita from, like, the window. From the window, you can really tell Juanita has a different personality. She's all about the relationship, maybe having sex, like the family. So she's more family oriented in the long run versus Delilah, who's more career oriented and stuff. So we do see the difference in the characters and stuff, you know. And at this time, Anthony is really attracted to Juanita, right? Because even though they talked about sex and talked about things going on, he's still innocent, you know. He's still modest about a lot of things that's going on. And if you know about the Bronx at this time, it's the opposite, all right? Even though it's the northeast part of Bronx and stuff, this time was rough. And it even gets rougher as you get through the 70s. It shows it in this movie, and I've read a lot of history about what takes place after. But after this, we get a flash forward scene where we get to see what other activities that he's doing. We see some of the modest and the work with the milk deliveries, but now we're getting to see the crime stuff. That he's also working with the guy named as Kirby, who's played by Keith David, a wonderful actor, who he's collecting these bets for, like, the numbers game, right? The numbers game was big during that time, and he's collecting the debts and stuff like that. And another thing too, Anthony sees Kirby as a father figure, like his second father figure, that is on the route, that's always there to give him money and always watching his back, you know, especially with the scene that's about to take place. Now we have him going back to Kirby's place, delivering the bets, and they're sitting down having a conversation. Kirby's having a conversation with a close friend of his about all the disasters that's happening down south, and the blood that he shed during the war, in the Korean War, because Kirby is also a Korean War vet. While this is happening, you know, a guy named as, like, Cowboy comes in, who's played by Terrence Howard. You know, this is a confident guy. I think he can just dominate. He just looks, and he immediately looks down at Anthony, who's playing pool at the time, and just thinks like, hey, you need to get out here. His little ass shouldn't be in this pool hall, right? Get him out of here. So they decide, all right, we're going to see who can actually play. Anthony and Cowboy decide to sit down and do a game and put some money on it. Thing is, Cowboy loses, right? And him losing, he felt like he was being disrespected. You know, and a street guy, as a street guy and stuff, he really felt like he had to gain that respect back. So once Kirby left the room, he loses the game, and he was only willing to pay Kirby for the bet and not Anthony. And this is when we start to see the innocent side. He's like, hey, you're supposed to pay me this, and if you don't, I'm going to tell everybody that Cowboy cheats. Cowboy feels this is the opportunity to show this young bastard that I am not playing, and he's going to get his respect back. So he just backhands him, knocks him to the pool table, and then threatens him with a knife and stuff. And now he's showing him that I got the power now, right? That you might win the battle, but I won this war, right? I have power over you. Now, as I said, Kirby is like another father to Anthony. He go over and grabs Cowboy off Anthony and just kicks him out, right? because of the foolishness, and he didn't want them to come back. So, you know, as that follows up, Kirby, you know, he watches out for him, you know, get him cleaned up, paid him for the money, and for all the things have he done and stuff. You know, this camaraderie, you can really see this camaraderie between each other and stuff, you know. Even though, you know, Anthony hasn't been in war yet, you can really feel like he's a person that he went to battle with and stuff, you know, that he's a close friend of his. So that's why he invites him onto this trip to pick up another shipment and stuff. Well, not a shipment, but some more money. Thing is, this trip that he goes on, he didn't realize that he was going to be a getaway driver, because once Kirby gets there, he starts beating the man, and shoot, even beat the woman that came out, you know, trying to protect her man, and just, you know, kind of showing him the criminal side of life of his time, like that dirty side, like that he is so innocent and so blind to what's going on around him and stuff, that he's not really, like, Anthony's not really realizing what path he might be going towards, but it is showing him the two paths, you know, this honest work life that he has during the day, during the night, or during that one night, versus the criminal side, as we see, as he works with Kirby. Now, eventually, after, you know, doing all that side, we get to go back to a more of a calmer element with him sitting with his family, eating dinner. Now, we get to see the side of the family and how they view the world, right, and how they see things. The mom, she's so proud of the older brother, like Anthony's older brother, of him going to college, getting his degree, and going down a good path, right? And she wants her son, Anthony, to do the same thing. But Anthony got different things on his mind. As I said before, he doesn't mind war, and he's ready to go. And this is like a hit to the mom, because she feels like that he's gonna hurt his career and his future if he does this.
It's my life.
Yeah, it's your life.
Looks like to me you're trying to ruin it, baby.
Now, the reason why I feel like he's doing this, especially when I was thinking about it, is the fact that his two influences, his dad, who was sitting right there, was a Korean vet, and Kirby was a Korean vet and stuff. But the thing is, they execute things in a different way and stuff, you know. He could have went the way of, like, the dad, where it's like, I did all these things so you don't have to. But he's more of, I gotta do this, you know. I gotta explore. I gotta be something that's different and stuff, right? I need to deserve that. I need to get that power, right? And not be trapped in the whole school system and not going anywhere. That's what he felt like, you know, that he would just be stuck in the same system. But this pushes towards the actual graduation night, right? So they have a graduation night, and the party's going on. Skip and Jose, they meeting up again. The girls are there. They all partying and having a good time, all right? Jose brings up the fact that he thinks about marrying his girl. And this becomes a big aspect of what will happen later, because at the time, Anthony doesn't really believe in that. He was like, oh man, why would you do that? You know? Yeah, Skip even goes on with it too. He's like, why would you do that and stuff like that? Man, I'm about to be a pimp, you know? But he wants some sort of a family unit. You really see that from Jose. And eventually they end up pulling, like the girls end up even pulling Anthony and Jose away from Skip. Because Skip, even though he has all this like confidence and stuff, he doesn't really have a girl to really settle down with and stuff. He's always everywhere else and stuff, you know. Big dreams this, you know. I got all these girls. I'm about to pimp these. I'm about to get into this pimp game and stuff, you know. And that's why these girls just pulled them away. And we get to see the two sides that, yes, Jose is really about to establish a family. Wow. Right now, we see with Anthony, he is getting close and intimate with this girl, and she even invites him over to her house where they about to have some sex. And eventually that's what they do. They leave the party and head straight over to Juanita's house, right? Now, when they get there, Delilah is in Juanita's room and she just jamming out to "I'm Black and I'm Proud," James Brown, you know? Now, this is also a good indicator of what is going to happen to Delilah, you know? And what that is the good thing about this movie is they do excellent with the setups, you know? And then because we get a payoff later on, because that song means something to what path she's going to go. Now, she did still get kicked out of the room, and they get to action, all right? They start making love, and in the other room, Delilah got her over here, and she tries to cover up and ignore it, even though she has this big crush on Anthony, and it doesn't really fade at this point, even though that she's Anthony's with her sister and stuff. It doesn't really fade, but she tries to ignore it at the same time. So after that sex session, Juanita starts to talk to Anthony, you know, about the future, because she's considering about the future, right? So she looks at Anthony and really wonders, where are they going with this relationship? You know, are they going to get married? Are they going to do anything? He doesn't want, as I said earlier, he does not want that, you know, especially that he's going to war, and the fact that he might not come back. He doesn't want her waiting for nothing, you know? And I even considered this when I went into the military. I didn't want to bring any problems on anyone else or weigh somebody down with that and stuff. And I understood that sentiment for that. But at the same time, I see the issues that popped up later on in the story with him not committing to her, because this could have changed everything. But eventually, the mom comes home. And when the mom comes home, that's when he had to scramble out of the place. All right? He scrambles. Good thing Delilah had their back and let them know that the mom was coming. And they run and get out. And, you know, Juanita admits that she loves him and she will wait for him. He hears it and he says he loves her too, but you don't really feel it. You know, you really don't feel it at this moment, like if he's really going to be committed to her, you know? And I feel like this innocent side started to fade away from him, because the lifestyle that he's been living outside of doing milk deliveries and with his family, he started to get into the other feel of the criminal side. But this is when the greatest transition scene I ever seen in my life happens. As he escapes the scene before the mom sees him, he's jumping over fences. He's escaping, you know. F you, any of the people that's yelling at him for hopping into their yard. But in transition from that to 2 years later when he's in war in Vietnam, all right? And I found that scene to be excellent, and I love that. But I'm going to stop it right there, because there's a lot more to this movie, you know? And that first part was only 30 minutes, right? And we got a lot of things. We got what the characters want and their beliefs in that 30 minutes and stuff. And it's going to play out later on in the movie, and I want to go dig in deeper into that. The next part, we're going to go into the war scenes. Now, like I said, the war scenes are like the horror movie of the film. But until next time, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. And I'm going to see you later. Peace.